Good evening, planet Earth. It is Chris Angel coming at you with another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. And today we're talking about story washing in marketing. Story washing in marketing. What? Well, years ago, when I was a real estate agent, there was a certification on how to become green, right? How to get your green certification. I can't actually, maybe that's what it was called. I don't remember what it was called. But I know that there were a lot of things in that day and age where people were greenwashing stuff, right? Like, is it green? This is green, that's green, this is environmentally friendly. Like, there's a lot of greenwashing going on because it was popular, it was trendy, it was cool to say, there was perceived value when things were green. And so people just greenwashed stuff. By the way, you can see this also with breast cancer awareness and people pink washing stuff, right? We're gonna wash everything in pink because it's popular, it's trendy, it's acceptable, it's a cool cause, and all that, right? Just because you put green on something, or you say something, or you put pink on something, right, doesn't always mean that. Well, you have to investigate what's really going on there, right? Like where do those dollars actually go? What is the company's actual commitment? Like all that. Well, now we're seeing this, I believe, also in story washing, right? Story in marketing has become a really big buzzword, and for good reason. I think that there are some good things in the metaphor of storytelling as it relates to marketing. I like the perspective that story has been around for thousands of years. Since the beginning of language, there was an oral tradition of how we passed on wisdom from one generation to the next through stories. I get all that. I love it. And I like that there's something about story that is easy for us to, as listeners to story, to understand versus complex concepts and ideologies and things that are harder to understand. So from a concept, I love the idea that story makes things easier. Now, here's where the breakdown happens. Much like when I would ask people, well, what's your why? What's your why? Or I don't actually ask that question because I don't like the question. But when people say, well, what's your why? It's so hard to answer. It's so hard to answer. At least it was for me, right? Maybe it is for you. I don't know. What's your why? How do I tell you that in a succinct, like, oh, my why is this? It's kind of abstract. Well, I think story in marketing is also kind of abstract. And so what I think now is people are starting to use the word story a lot of times, and they actually don't know what it means. Like they haven't dug deep under the surface of what it means to them and how to actually use it or do it in marketing. So let me give you my 2 cents about this whole story thing as it relates to marketing. First of all, I don't think what that means is to actually tell a story. I don't think it means like once upon a time there was a little boy and the little boy wanted to grow a business and blah, blah, blah. I don't think we're talking about a narrative, right? A narrated story, first of all. I do think that there can be elements of, a problem that someone is trying to solve, or right? There is a villain, there is an existential problem. There are, of course, there are problems that, and I do believe in the hero, like the person, we are all in our own hero's journey, and we will all find guides to help us steer the path of our journey. So I believe all of that's true. And it's important to look in your business, you are the guide for your people. I believe that. And you have to get very clear about what your people, the hero over there who's questioning themselves, you have to get very clear like where they're stuck. What's their problem? What's their pain? Like why do they keep failing? So that you can be relevant in your solutions for them as a guide. Okay, so all of that I like. Again, the breakdown happens when we as the people in business start to go, well, am I supposed to tell a story in this post? How do I tell a story? Again, it's not once upon a time such and such happened. So what I think story means in your marketing is simply sharing with us. Share with us in first person. Here's what I did. This is what worked. This is what didn't work. This is where I felt bad. This is where I felt shame. This is where when you tell us your story, you tell us where life didn't work for you. You tell us where life did work for you. But just share like you're having coffee with somebody. Just share like you're having a conversation with a friend. And that, friends, is what I think we can call story. The story of it all. I think the challenge you run into if you try to make it too much of a story, a narrative, is that you're going to get too cute with it. You're going to get too story-like with it. You're going to miss the real power of your life experience because you're trying to make it, quote unquote, a story. That is not what I think we mean by story. Ultimately, story is just you sharing. You just share from your life. What has life taught you? And pass it on to us. Okay? That, I believe, is a more constructive and more accessible way to do story in marketing. Okay? So, an example of this can just be, I teach this actually in my 6-week program. I teach a framework where we actually tell a story and then connect it to a lesson. What is the thing that life taught you today? And what is the lesson in it for others? Okay? But it's not a creative writing exercise. It's just you like putting words onto a screen about what happened today. Okay? So that is what, in fact, you can look at many of these episodes of this show to see examples of that. I do that quite often in this show. So there are plenty of examples in this show if you go back through time. Okay. What I want you to, let's leave it with this. Okay. Moving forward, when you hear somebody talk about story this, oh yeah, man, it's just all about story in your marketing. We got to be stories. You're the guide and they're the hero and all stuff. Okay, that's cool. And just bring it down a notch so that it's approachable and accessible for you and for them. So it's ultimately, we're just talking about sharing from your life, what life has taught you, and then connecting it to a lesson that makes sense to them, right? That will make this whole story approach to marketing much easier for you. If you'd like help, how to take things from your daily life, because life is teaching you every day, taking things from life and sharing that back with the world in a way that actually serves them, inspires them to take on their life. That is what my 6-week program is all about. It's called the Groundswell Method Intensive. And you can learn more about it at groundswellmethod.com. The link is in the text of this post. And you can go there, watch, there are like 5 free videos there about this whole concept of the Groundswell Method and marketing in a way that is authentic to your tribe. And on the last page of those videos is an application button. It says apply today. And you can click the apply today button, fill that out, and it comes to me. So that's it, gang. Here's to you making better connections through simply sharing your life with people and not getting so caught up in the story of it all. See you tomorrow.